Hello guys, welcome back. Well, today I'm gonna make this tutorial of this woman. We're gonna be using just two stock images, the background and the woman. The rest we're gonna be using the brush and some color balance options to manipulate the color. Well, let's begin. First, let's open the first image that is gonna be the background. Then let's duplicate this image, Ctrl J, and we're gonna convert this layer into a smart object. So right click it and go to a smart object. Now we're gonna blur this image just by 1 pixel to make it a little blurry. So go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and 1.5 pixels. Click OK. So next we're gonna click on this white smart filter thumbnail. We're gonna select the gradient tool and we're gonna paint from here to the middle. Click from the bottom to the middle. So I did this because I want the background to be a little blurry, because I want the image to be focused on the woman right here. So next we're gonna bring the woman. I'm gonna click here to keep the aspect ratio, and I'm gonna put it somewhere right. I'm gonna put it right there. I'm gonna click OK. So now we're gonna be messing with the color balance. So go to the adjustments, color balance. Let's click this option to put it as a clipping mask, and we're gonna put -10, 10, and -10. Let's change the tone to shadows, and here we're gonna put -5, 0, and -2. Now let's go with the highlights, and we're gonna put -6, -6, and 10. So next we're gonna use the curves adjustment. So go to adjustments, curves, put it as a clipping mask. So on here we're gonna move this just a little to the right, and on here we're gonna move it something like this. So just to make it a little darker. So just make sure you have these curves something like this, similar to this one. Next, let's go with the selective color, and on reds we're gonna be putting these numbers. On cyan is gonna be 100, on yellow -10, and black and magenta 00. Now let's change the colors to yellow, and right here we're gonna put -17 and 34, and that's it. Don't forget to put this as a clipping mask. You can do it just clicking on here, or pressing Alt and clicking in between these two layers. So now we're gonna add some shadows to the woman. So let's click on the woman layer and press control key and click on this new layer icon option or whatever, so the new layer appears below that woman. And let's name this shadow. So click Control key and click on the woman layer thumbnail to make a selection and fill the new layer with black. Control D to deselect, and with the arrow keys move the shadow 3 times down. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just move it 4 and I'm gonna see if that's okay or I need to move it back or something. So now we're gonna blur the shadow by 4 pixels. Go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and type 4. Click OK. Now I'm gonna see if I need to blur it more or that's alright. I think that's good. So now, because I just want that shadow to be on the lower part of the dress and I don't want the shadow on any other area, I'm just gonna add a layer mask to the shadow layer and I'm gonna erase the rest. So I'm gonna select the brush tool, a soft brush, and I'm gonna fill that layer with black to hide the shadows. Then I'm gonna go here and change the colors, the foreground to white, and I'm just gonna brush here to make the shadows appear until here. So next I'm just gonna make another layer and I'm gonna name these shadows 2. I'm gonna lower the opacity of the brush to around 26% and I'm just gonna paint and I'm gonna switch the foreground to black and I'm just gonna paint something like this. I'm gonna make something like that. I'm gonna get the eraser tool, 26 opacity, and I'm just gonna delete or erase a little right here because I don't want to be too dark. Let me see. Let me lower the opacity to around 10, to around 5. So it's gonna be something like this. So now I'm gonna make another layer and I'm gonna name this layer moon. So now we're gonna paint a moon right here. So let's go with the brush tool and I'm gonna select this moon right here. It's the 650. I'm gonna change the size to 600 and the opacity to 100, and I'm just gonna paint the moon somewhere right here. So next we're gonna make another layer on top of all these layers. So click on the top layer and make a new layer. Let's name this layer feathers, and I'm gonna select a feather brush. Let me see which one. Let me go with this one. Let me see how it looks like. Yeah. So I selected You can choose any of these. I'm gonna have the link to these brushes on the description, so you can choose any of these. So I'm gonna make the size around 150 or smaller, and I'm gonna go to this brush settings, and on brush tip shape I'm gonna put the spacing around around 500. On shape dynamics I'm gonna put 100, and on minimum diameter I'm gonna leave it to 0. On angle jitter, or whatever you pronounce that, I'm gonna move this around and see how it looks better. I'm just gonna put it to 30. On a scattering, it's gonna be 1000, and count is gonna be 3. So let's see how it looks like. So I'm just gonna paint some feathers like this. Just go right here, there, something like that. If you think you have a lot of feathers, you can just erase some. Go to the eraser tool and just erase some feathers. Like right here, I think I have too much, so I'm just gonna erase. I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. So next I'm gonna make these feathers blurry by 1 pixels or 1.5 pixels. Blur, Gaussian blur, and 1.5 is gonna be alright. 1.5, and click OK. So now that I have this, I'm gonna do a final step. Two final steps. I'm just gonna merge all these layers together by pressing Ctrl Alt Shift E, and I'm gonna go to filter, and I'm gonna use this application or plugin, Tapas Adjust, and I'm gonna choose the tone collection, and it's gonna be the split tone 1, and I'm gonna click OK. So I hope you like this tutorial, and if you have any question, just put a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share, and see you next time. Bye bye.